and it didn't really catch my eye to say I am hating people, because sometimes I would manipulate people that were helping me. If I say faith wasn't part of the works, I would be lying, because faith has been pretty much the most important step that worked and helped me get to the journey of recovery. So my name's Dalitso Phiri, and thank you for having me here, and I really appreciate it. It's an honor. Growing up with my parents was like every other kid. It was a straight upbringing. I grew up in a religious background, so going to church was like a priority, something that I did when I was young. I stayed mostly with my grandparents compared to my parents. Yeah.
Okay. Where was that?
So I'm originally from Charleston.
Okay.
Yeah, but we tended to move a lot. So, but growing up was within Charleston.
Okay. So what was school like for you?
Well, growing up, school was very competitive, because I grew up in a setup where grandma loved to stay with a lot of people, and you find that you had like 5 or 6 cousins of yours in the same class, so you had to be competitive at school, and if you did something wrong, your cousin would obviously tell. But I can't say I was an average student, because grades were pretty impressive sometimes.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so what was your first encounter with addiction?
Well, okay, that's a very, very, very interesting question. Drinking or smoking was something I grew around with. Like, I had people during social gatherings that would maybe light up a cigarette or drink alcohol for socialization when people meet up. But I didn't really think it was much of a problem for me or the people around me. But it only started when I was in my 7th grade. That's the first time I smoked a cigarette, and from there on, it became a continuous habit.
Okay. Do you remember what it felt like the first time you smoked a cigarette?
Yeah, it was a euphoric feeling. It was like you just get blown. So it was quite interesting, and the fact that when you're watching movies or you are sitting down and seeing cool people that you consider to be cool smoking, it looked like something that was really interesting, but in reality it wasn't.
Did you let your parents know? Did the parents know that this was something that was happening?
No, it was something that we would obviously do in closed spaces, because it would be like after maybe break time, just before going to class, every child is running to the class and everything like that. But you'd stay behind and just light up a cigarette, and just to light up the moment in class.
Okay. So at what point did this escalate? What was the escalation from grade 7, grade 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 into, you know?
Well, for me, it quickly escalated in my 8th to 9th grade, between the transition. So for me, it was something that I almost forgot about. But when I started to searching and picking friends, I leaned more on the people that were quite addicted to this habit.
Okay. So you get into grade 8, grade 9. Do you make it to grade 10? You pass to grade 10?
Well, during that period, it became more intense because when I had a bit of stress at school, I would run to smoking. I would tend to miss class because sometimes you'd smoke and then you would have a bit of some symptoms like you're not feeling too well because that's in the start, and it was fun. So you find that you'd pay less attention to academics and more to the fun and addictive side. So when you're in school, you meet different people with different ages, and there are people who have a tendency to bring in different moments or to make you feel like you're doing something less, and there's something more that you need to try out. And out of curiosity, I started taking things like alcohol, and I also tried out alcohol, and I started trying out marijuana, and from there on, I think I can say it became something that I needed to do to function, because they said in order to have a good memory, if you tried out marijuana, it would help you out.
Okay. So you got addicted to marijuana and alcohol and cigarettes during your school days. And how long did that go on for?
It went on for a period. I think I would say from 8 to 9. That was like the whole period, because like I said, picking and choosing friends, abandoning sports and things like chess. I really enjoyed playing chess and playing soccer as well. So I had to abandon those things and just fitting with a group. And if it meant doing this on a regular, there was no problem with that.
Okay. And at this point, when your addiction is escalating, how is your family taking it?
Well, in the early days, it's all about hiding. So you don't want anybody to know, and those that know, you are like, it's okay. But you try to hide the sides. Sometimes you'll be like, I smell a bit of smoke. You want to cover that with a bit of perfume. You want to brush your teeth more often, and sometimes you would tend to wear shirts for no good reason, even when the weather is not, yeah.
Cool.
So it's a bit about hiding, but family would catch up, because sometimes you have unwanted mood swings, so they just tend to fly, and sometimes you be a bit rude, rebellious, you don't follow curfews. Yeah, you're just always against the rules, and so they would be like, what's going on?
Okay, so did they try to intervene early on? Because you said you lived with your grandma. Did your grandma try to intervene? Did your mom try to intervene? Did your several cousins? Did anyone try to say, no, Dalitso? What's going on?
Going forward in life, we had to scatter, because everyone had to do something different. So everyone was going about with their life. So I had to move with my dad. So I was with my dad, and then my dad is never at home because he's always working. And then I have to now fit in the new environment, and people that are new to you won't really pay much attention, but they will care, but they won't give that attention to be like, oh, maybe that's how he is. Yeah.
Do you think that if someone had paid attention early on, do you think you would have overcome the addiction earlier?
It's safe to say there were more factors to deal with the addictive side compared to just care, because
tell me about that.
Okay, so even after, because like it became unbearable for them to live with somebody that wouldn't abide by their rules, and I had to come back here, obviously. And when I came back here, they were like, maybe it's just adulthood, it's him changing, but initially it wasn't. It was the drugs that were changing me.
Okay, so when you say came back here, where was your dad living?
In Kawe by then.
Okay, so he was living in Calgary and you came back here. Okay, so at this point you've come back to Lusaka and you're now it's in common knowledge that look, this person is addicted to marijuana, alcohol, cigarettes. Could you highlight any experience to you that was like, I'm at my lowest?
Well, the main reason I had to start coming back here was because I was getting a lot of letters, and I got an expulsion letter as well, and they had to go back and plead and say, these are kids and you just know how they tend to be, and I'm just glad they were lenient with me to have me there back to write my grade 9 exams. But because of the expulsions, you find out that you're home and all your friends are going to school, your siblings are doing well, they are coming up with good grades as well. You don't have anybody to stick with that's in your circle, so you have no choice but to lower your circle.
Okay, so how many schools did you get expelled from?
3.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So you ended up writing your grade 9 exams. You passed, went to grade 10. Did you finish school?
So during the grade 10 period, I got an expulsion as well. Well, that was the 3rd expulsion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't finish school.
I had a chance to finish school, but I didn't really carry on the right behavior.
I see. I see. Okay. So how did at this time your home, yeah, not going to school? How did your addiction at the time affect your relationship with your family?
Well, many relationships, many bridges were bent, because in that moment, nothing mattered to me except getting high. And for me, if it means manipulating whoever I have to just to get high, I will do that. And it didn't really catch my eye to say I am hating people, because sometimes I would manipulate people that were helping me with all their resources and putting their needs backwards, and I'll just make sure that I get high in the end. So sometimes you'd be asking for unnecessary items, which were a bit too of the norm. Like people would ask, you already have a pair of shoes, why do you need another pair of shoes? So that you can sell off the other pair of shoes, so that you can feed your addiction. So many relationships were really bent and broken, because sometimes a lot of trust was lost, a lot of stealing started happening. I remember grabbing a lump sum of money when I found somewhere that my mom was storing money. So she was so disappointed. She told everybody else, and I didn't even care. I gave a very, very valid excuse, and in that moment, I did not know that I was destroying many healthy relationships.
Okay. Do you feel regret about those relationships, about those burnt bridges?
Yeah, definitely, because your parents and your guardians are putting in everything just for you to have a good way of living, and you're trying to sabotage those efforts in all ways and means. Sometimes you get into sales and they have to rush and bail you out. So all those things would be costly for people that are trying to just make the norms out of life, and for you are there causing so much heartache. On top of that, you don't stop there. You go back and still cause a lot of arguments home, and you finger point, you blame, you just have all these unwanted or unseeable disagreements, and a lot of burden for somebody who's just trying to, yeah.
You said something. You said you find yourself in the cells. Did you have experiences like that? Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, the first one I went to the cells was because I was caught stealing something of our yard, and by that time I think no one was there. I think they had just built a new police post, so I was there alone, and it was pretty dark, and it wasn't a fun experience. But for me, that was like a gear to gear my addiction into second gear, because I would be like, I've been there before, so I was like, oh, okay, now I'm here, and I think nothing can possibly happen to me, and that fueled my addiction.
Okay. So, if your addiction was at an all-time high, what made you want to change?
Well, by then I was now smoking heroin, and things started to intensify, and heroin, codeine, and cocaine can be costly, so you have to do what you have to do in order to satisfy your craving and not deal with the withdrawals. So I had to start not only stealing from outside, now from inside the houses, but now I had to start stealing outside from people I did not know. So it became something that I got accustomed to, and people would be like, don't keep this chap near, things get lost. So you find that you switch around homes, and everyone comes back with the same complaint. A lot of things are getting lost. What's really going on? And now you have to look for a place to stay. So I was not really chased from home, but I had to look for ways to just get away, because I started feeling like home was a bit of a hell for me. So I had to look for shelter, and I had a friend who lived somewhere where he had a room, and sometimes you'd be there with more than one person on the bed, and for me that was like a safe harbor, because I had somewhere to go whenever I did something wrong. So in a few split seconds, I think it was a minute or two, just once I was going back home, I heard he had gotten arrested because of some misdeeds that were done, and I was heavily involved in those misdeeds. And for me, that was like a wake-up call, because they said, your friend is gone, so there's no need for you guys to be here anymore. And then you had to look for a different source too. And I found another friend, and it was I think 3 to 6 months between where we lived together. Apparently he was also a heavy drinker, and for me, I didn't like alcohol, but there was a day I think I bought him like a whole bottle of alcohol, and he had a really bad condition. He was hospitalized for like 2 weeks, and eventually he passed on. And for me, that was like a really dark moment. I just lost 2 of my friends, and the doctor's report was like food poisoning. And the last food that he had was or the last meal they could go back was the alcohol that he had drunk. So fingers started pointing to me.
I'm sorry about that. Okay. You said that you had started doing harder drugs.
Yeah.
Where would you source those harder drugs from?
Well, it might be something that you might think it's really hard to get, but nowadays it's everywhere. It's everywhere and it's easily accessible, and it's as cheap as 15 kwacha, 100 kwacha. Now it's gone as low as 70 kwacha. That's for cocaine, and heroin is depending where you're getting it, as low as 15. And things like codeine can also be gotten at a cheaper price.
Okay, so I'll move us back to your turning point. So after your friends passed away and your other friends went to prison, how did you start seeking help? Did you go back home? Did you look for help on Facebook? How did you?
Well, so I was in my dark moments, and for me, I started to accept that this is who I am, and I didn't really know I was an addict, but I knew I needed to do whatever I needed to do to survive and to feed my addiction. And the most important part, I think, that was my turning point was when you know how sometimes you are on a bus and then you pass by a station and you're like, these guys that stand by the station, and you'd be like, it's something that's visible to everyone's eye. Then all of a sudden you'd be like, maybe a week or two, you notice these guys are not around. So you, for somebody who's like a regular person, they'll be like, oh, maybe the police did their work or the council or whatever. But initially, one of my friends was taken into rehabilitation that was found at the usual spot. So after some time, we didn't really bother to ask where he was or what he did, because we knew that the end result, maybe he was in prison. And by then, I think I had lost many friends. Many people were getting arrested during that period, and seeing him come back changed a different person. I was like, what are you doing? What have you done differently? So he had all valid excuses to flee from me, because I was like bad company at the moment. And for me, I really wanted what he had. And word spread around, many people were like, oh, this person has really changed. So family members and guardians and people around had heard that, and luckily that's how I found myself at Sanity House.
Okay, so what year was this?
This was between 2022 and 2023. I can't really, because it was, yeah.
Okay, so what was your journey like at Sanity House? Was it, you got here, was it easy?
Well, letting go of something that you're used to and something that you live by every day wasn't something that was easy to let go of. So if I say easy, I'll be lying to myself. But the program is relatively easy. It just requires you to really just put in the work. And I didn't really think I would last even a month, because a lot of people that I knew and funny dudes I left outside were my highest priority in my mind. And for me, that was like something I thought, why am I here when I have better things to do out there? But I gave it a try, and it went really well, because a lot of insights and physical, mental, and spiritual changes started to happen within me, and I felt this was the right way to go.
Did you ever relapse while you were at Sanity House?
No.
Never relapsed. From the day you entered Sanity House, you have never taken any drug?
Hard drugs? No.
Okay. Great. So tell me now, you leave Sanity House. What does life look like for you? Building relationships. What does that look like for you?
Well, you're coming out as a new transformed person, and expectations of the world and your expectation might differ, because the world will be like, you've just done something that you're supposed to do, and you're thinking you've made a very big achievement, which is a very big achievement, and you have to navigate life with the stigma still attached to your addiction, and some people not trusting you, and some people still feeling like you just have a few days back and you'll be back where you had left off. But navigating life was very, very interesting, because I started to see life in a different light, and it was kind of interesting to learn to say the journey had only just begun.
Okay. So, what is your role here at Sanity House?
That's a very interesting question.
Okay.
For me, at Sanity House, I was a peer promoter before, and then I was promoted to be a supervisor. So that means thank you. That means mobilizing people. Because we had a project that we were doing, so mobilizing people and just spreading the message out, because there were certain places that needed to be walked, and fairly enough I was like acquainted with those places, so it was very easy for me. And I'm also a recovery coach, so I help people that are in the program and also outside there, so that they can just learn the ways of recovery. And I'm also a certified counselor, so I sit down with people that have issues with addiction, and I would help them channel how they should perceive what they have and what they need to do.
Okay. Thank you so much. Do you think every addict can recover?
It's possible, but there's a thin line between rock bottom and never return. So if you hit the no return, this is a point where you're like in psychosis and you don't perceive things as a human should. And that thin line is quite really hard to judge until somebody is willing to recover, because some people have crossed the line and you might try to make them recover, but it's already gone. It's a month or two or a year. We might never hear or speak to them. So it's the same thing with dependency and addiction. It's just a thin line. So you have to really understand whether this person is an addict or they have crossed the line of no return. That means they have mental issues. Some have had permanent physical damages, and some people have just crossed the spiritual lines, and those are really, really hard lines to restrain from.
So, what message of inspiration or hope would you want to give someone and their families on their recovery journey?
Recovery is very much possible, and you have to want it. And if you have an addiction problem, I think the first step to change is acceptance. Once you accept that you have a problem, I think hands of help would be willing to come through, and you would have the whole help that you need. And if you have struggled with addiction no matter how many years, I have seen it possible. I am a witness, and I have taken the journey. I know people that have been addiction for over 30 years, and I know people who have been in addiction for less than a year, and I have seen and walked the step of recovery. So it's very much possible, and it just starts with an acceptance from the time you realize you really need help. And help is always readily available. And just by reading a story of somebody who's transformed, I think you could get some inspiration from there, and later maybe seek out for help, because like I said, addiction keeps you in isolation. So the more that you're isolated and the more that you're away from your family, the more that you are doing the unthinkable. There's always hope, and if you find that that's something you shouldn't take for granted, because not too many people have the chance to have such a rare opportunity. And the last message I would give out is it works if you work it.
Yes, if you work it. Beautiful.
Well, faith has played a huge role, because I have to come to believe that in as much as this is a physical, mental, and emotional problem, I have to come to believe that there's a power greater than myself that needs to help me overcome this addiction. And my strong faith would lead me to believe that God is there and He's working. So
We are done. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Nicola. Thank you.
My drug of choice when I first started, it was marijuana. Then I moved to heroin and crack cocaine. When I first started, a parcel of heroin was 5 kwacha and a parcel of crack cocaine was 50 kwacha. Marijuana, I started when I was in grade 10. I was probably about 15. And then heroin I started at 17.